This is Will.
This is Alex.
Welcome back to another episode of They Mostly Come Out of Me.
Welcome back, everyone. Your favorite micro podcasters are back.
We're back another Sunday night.
Yep. You know the drill. You know what we're going to ask you first and foremost.
You know the homework.
Go to your web zones, wherever you get Spotify, Apple Music, all that stuff. Our host site is Podbean. Go on there, like, comment, subscribe, do all that good shit. Especially comment. Every 5 episodes, we do a recommendation, so please get those
previous
in.
year, every 5 episodes. If it's a future year, I will add it.
We will get to it. Just horror and action movies.
Yeah.
No hee-haw, no dramas, no nothing like that. But we will get to it.
If it's a thriller or something, or if it's like or if it's like foreign or unknown, we can, work something out.
Yeah.
I'm open to it. But yeah, generally action and horror.
Yep. And if we talk about it, if you want to send us something really obscure, we can talk it out and you can send it to us and we can watch it somehow. So just let us know every 5 episodes. We really appreciate you guys listening, even if you don't do all that stuff. So without further ado, let's get into the episode.
Little did I know, because I did bring myself some Canadian beer to drink today.
Yeah.
Little did I know we were going to get a Canadian movie, and little did I know I would really learn the value of hard work.
Yeah, and carpentry.
And yes, carpentry. And do it yourself.
DIY carpentry.
Mr. Fix-It.
Yes.
I learned the value of all these things in our absolutely
This movie is
wackadoodle cracked movie, The Carpenter.
It is pretty unhinged.
I
did not know what to expect. I thought it was going to be like a straightforward slasher movie, and it is not
the
that.
implication you get.
It
but
is.
no.
It is not that at all. I mean, there's some like deaths, obviously, but there's not that many. And it's very uncanny, very weirdly edited, and kind of surreal. And
It's very surreal.
yeah, it's very surreal. Like it's just a.
This is what I would call a vibes movie.
If you like stuff by like David Lynch,
Yeah, it is.
you'll probably like this stuff. I got that kind of vibe from it. Like definitely like Twin Peaks vibes.
I definitely got David Lynch Twin Peaks vibes from this thing, and it's just funny because this was before Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
But it has that sort of thing where there's like really just odd characters and odd bits of humor.
Just
where it's
weird shit going on the entire time, and you don't really know if it's like supposed to be like ethereal like dream sequences or like real or anything. It kind of subverts all your expectations of what this movie should be.
Yes.
And you go into it thinking it's one thing, and then it definitely is like just takes a big U-turn, and it's not that thing. So I don't know. There's lots to like about this movie, and there's I don't know, like
I liked it.
I liked it a lot. I think it's good. I think it's worth a watch. Really, honestly, I would recommend it. I wouldn't say it's like a masterpiece, but it is good, especially if you like that weird.
I don't even know if this is for everybody, but for me, it's like if I think about it.
Well, that's what I was trying to say. It's like I can see why someone maybe wouldn't like this movie or think it's like kind of hokey and stupid. I liked it because of that like surreal, like weird, just
also the important thing.
shit going on.
The important thing, the most important base level, right, is I think about it. Okay, I spent an hour and a half of my life watching this.
Yeah.
Was I entertained?
Very
the answer
much
is
so.
yes.
Yeah, very much so. Now, like I said, I get why people maybe wouldn't be,
And also,
but
did I get something I have never seen before?
yes,
Absolutely.
it's very original, very unique.
Little B movie that no one cares about, probably costs no money to make.
It is very unique and very well made.
I'm kind of like, because usually with a movie like this, it's like they kind of want to make the most basic thing
especially
imaginable.
like it's kind of weird seeing this kind of level of weirdness from like a very unknown Canadian horror movie
Called The Carpenter.
called The Carpenter about a carpenter. Like, I mean, that's what it's about. So let's get into it. Let's go. We'll kind of break down the movie for you. So it starts out with a woman.
She is cutting apart suits.
She's laying out a suit on her bed and she's cutting it apart. And her husband is fed up with it. So
because he comes in and she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and
you already get a start because like everyone's reactions are a little bit off.
Especially the husband.
Yeah, like no one really reacts to things going on in this movie. They're just kind of like, oh, okay,
yeah. You did it again.
You did it again. Let's take you to the institution.
They don't even say that though. It's literally just she cuts the thing. He comes in, sees it. She apologizes immediately. Next thing is
she's in like a psych ward
with another woman who keeps reciting a poem about love.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, the guy's like, she's like, "Listen, I'm fine. Everything's fine." And he's like, "Nope, got more time. We need more. We got to be in here longer."
Yeah.
And then eventually, she's free. You know, her patient in the same room. He's like, "Wow, you're free." And then everybody, it's just like a line of people being like, "You're free. You're free."
Well, and she keeps going back to her cutting the suitcase and the suit. Sorry, suitcase. Fuck the suit. And then all of a sudden, she's like, she has these restraints and she's being held up
from the ceiling.
From the ceiling, and the doctor comes in.
Her main primary doctor.
And he's like, "You're free," and he takes out a chainsaw
and saws the
restraints off, and then they just leave. And obviously that didn't really happen.
That's just in her head.
But it doesn't explain any of that.
No.
It just does it. It's just like, here you go.
And they give her, medicine to take to be more normal.
Well, and you get a feel that her husband is very plain Jane, like very just, he's like a plank of wood. He's boring. He doesn't care. He's unaffectionate.
All he nags her about is that she takes her medicine and she says, "No,
yeah,
I'm good. Like, I'm fine. I'm better now." And so what they did is they bought a house.
Well, okay, so yeah, while she was in the psych ward, you get scenes of the husband, and you're not sure if it's real or not because she's seeing all this other shit.
Everything has that dream-like quality.
Yeah. The husband buys a house, right? But it needs a lot of work. And so he takes her to the house, and there's already all these like contractors building on this house because apparently it was in shambles.
And she's like, "Wow, it's perfect. It'll be perfect once it's done." And they get to living there. We
also get introduced to 3 Housers.
4.
Yeah, 4. Sorry, they're
4 hosers. You can tell they're American because one of them's wearing a Bruce Springsteen shirt,
even though this is filmed in Canada.
The other one's wearing a shirt that says New York City. And
they try and do that thing where they trick you into thinking it's America.
They want you to think it's America, but
it's clearly not.
I have eyes. And the fact that everyone, especially, oh God, at the very end of the movie when everyone's screaming and angry, the accents the accents are so heavy.
Listen,
it's amazing. It's amazing.
I think we should take the time too, and I know I've done this before. We should shout out some other Canadians.
Oh yes, our favorite.
We absolutely
love. I love Canada.
We love Canada because two Canadians made our theme song, and if you like music, go to SoundCloud.
You should look up Corpus Earthling.
Yeah, you should check out Corpus Bandcamp. Yes. Sorry, my bad. Yeah, go to Bandcamp. Their link is gonna be in the show notes.
Every show.
Intro and outro by them. We love them. Thank you. So shout out Canada.
Yeah. And listen,
shout out Canada.
I have been where they filmed this movie. I've been to Montreal. It's great. I love it. But, they try to trick you.
Yeah, they do. They really do. They try really hard, but
I just know
those Canadian accents really shine.
Well, it's Canadian
through.
accents, and anytime they show like a street, you're just like, this is not America. It's just that thing.
And they do. I think on the cars they do try and put American license plates too, but I'm not 100% sure.
I didn't even see any license plates. They didn't even dare go there. I don't think they had enough money for license plates.
Well, at the end you see license plates, but I can't remember because there's a lot of cars in that parking lot at the end.
But it's like dark conveniently.
Yeah. So anyway, that doesn't matter. It's just funny that they try and hide the fact that it's Canada. And
but they're a bunch of bad boy hosers, and they goof off, and the husband doesn't like that they goof off on the job.
Right. So he tells the contractor. It
becomes a thing.
He tells the guy who employs all of them that they're being annoying.
His name is Farnsworth, which is like, it's like think of like generic nonsense American name.
Farnsworth.
Sure, whatever.
So anyway, we get these guys. They're hanging out at a bar, and
this is way later, because first thing happens is the first night there.
Oh right, yeah. She so it's an unfinished basement, and they're working on like the entire house.
But they're mostly working on the outside.
Yeah.
And she wakes up in the middle of the night because she hears like pounding and like work going on. So she wanders down to the basement, and we see the Carpenter. And it's our guy,
Wings
Hauser, a prominent schlock actor.
I love Wings Hauser. He's great.
And he's great in this.
Yeah, I think he's been on the podcast before.
Yes, he was in the movie with the disco zombies, Mutant.
Yeah, Mutants. Yeah, that's right.
And I know he'll be in other stuff, but he's great in this. And he's just doing work. And I
think he's my favorite character in the entire movie, actually.
Well, I love that he talks in like
he talks in like weird, like, oh, well.
Do you remember?
You got to get.
What was that show? Do you remember? Was it Dirty Jobs?
Mike Rowe. He
talks like in just slogans.
Yeah.
Or a job's not done till a job's done, and there's nothing like hard work.
Nothing beats hard work.
And people just don't. And there's like a scene later.
He talks like an angry old man that does everything himself, but like only in slogans.
But yeah, and there's a scene like later on where she's
thinks like the whole world is lazy except for him because he's working himself.
Yeah,
he's the only one.
He's the only one.
He's the kind of guy that would say he doesn't say this surprisingly, but like to get a job done right, you got to do it yourself or something like that.
But yeah, there's even a scene later where she's like, "Don't you take a break?" And he's like, "Oh well, taking a break, it gets you out of the rhythm." And hard work it's like music. You stay in the rhythm.
Hard work always pays off, and you can't have life without music.
You gotta break a few eggs, but it's like
you can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs.
But it's just he just talks in slogans, and it's also funny because for 90% of the movie, more than 90%, there's nothing like scary, right, about him.
Right, exactly. He's kind of non-threatening. He's just working on the house.
I mean, he kills people. We'll get to that. But it's not like I'm watching this and I'm like, oh, this is great.
What's weird is even the death scenes aren't like
horrifying.
You're not like super shocked or scared by them
because it's not affecting the main character, so to speak.
Well, and again, no one really reacts that badly to them.
Well, the person you need to react, the main character, is fine with it. But yeah, he just talks in slogans. And, he just tells her that he works at night and I've got to fix up his house, and she likes him.
Yeah, so she's interested in him, and you kind of get the feeling that the husband's not around a lot. He's kind of absent. He doesn't really care. And something else might be going on,
But yeah, it's like the next day, husband leaves and
he says he's going to be late.
He calls from his, office, and he's you find out
I'm not going to be home until, morning.
Yeah. And he's a professor. So it's like him doing a lecture at a university about Paul Bunyan and the masculinity of Paul Bunyan. Mm-hmm. And the whole time he's doing this lecture,
he keeps looking at this one woman.
This one student. And then after the lecture is done, it just immediately cuts to them fucking. And in the meantime, wife is at home alone. And one of the guys is just like, wow, you're alone? I could give you company.
Well, so this is where they go to the bar
Because after,
because he's getting like horned up. He's down bad, just like the Carpenter is.
we get a scene at the bar of all these hosers, and one of them is telling a story about how he was with a woman, and she was like, "Do you have a condom?" He's like, "Oh, no." "Do you have one?" She's like, "Nope. I guess we can't have sex." And he's like, "You know what? That shows class. And like poetry, it rhymes because someone in this movie did not heed the lesson."
Exactly.
Later on.
He didn't.
Okay.
He didn't wear a condom.
He didn't fucking do it. And after he tells the story, the one guy in a typical one-upmanship is like, "Oh yeah? Well, I'm gonna go. Well, that woman at the house, she wants me." And they're like, "Well, come on, man." He's like, "No, I'm going there tonight. I'm gonna get it." And they're like, "Whatever, man." And he leaves, and he goes there, drunk.
He goes with a bottle of wine, and he's going to harass this woman.
And he's harassing her and just talking through her, so to speak.
Well, it's like it's weird because they're having like two different conversations.
Because she's just like,
she's
"Please
saying
leave."
stuff, and he's saying,
But he's just like going.
he just continues his conversation about how like just nonsense. It's just nonsense.
And then as he's like, "Okay, whatever, let's stop talking." And he, starts assaulting her. And then you hear carpentry noises. And
he's like, "Oh, those fucking students."
Because earlier in the movie, one of them was...
Well, he notices the basement is all done.
And they're like,
they're
none of us are down there, so who finished the basement? And then one of them's like, "I'm telling you."
They think that someone's stealing their job. Yeah.
That the like foreman or whatever is hiring students to come in at night
Yeah.
and do their work. And so the guy, when he hears it, he's like, "Oh, it's those damn students."
So he goes and tries to give them a piece of his mind.
And he goes up to this door.
This happens so fucking fast.
He goes up to this door. The door literally opens. It's the Carpenter with a saw.
Like a radial saw or something. I don't know, carpentry, but...
And yeah, it's like a little handheld saw. And he's just like, "You need to keep your hands to yourself." And he saws both of his arms off.
And the dude does not react. He doesn't scream.
It happens too fast.
He doesn't do anything. You just see one of his arms sawed off, and then he saws off the other. And you can clearly see his arms in the shirt, but whatever. It doesn't matter.
He stands there in shock, bleeding out. Will is dying. He stands there dying.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Like Will is dying.
Yeah, sorry.
And
he just stands there dying, and she goes up the stairs.
So the Carpenter's like, "You better get some rest. I'll take care of this."
She goes upstairs like nothing's happening, and...
the guy just falls over.
God, sorry. Something got stuck in my throat. Holy fuck.
And he presumably, kills him and cleans up.
Yeah, so the husband gets home, and...
At like 1 a.m. or
like
whatever.
everything's cleaned up, but he's wondering why there's a bottle of wine on the table.
And it's still
he
open.
Sees a drop of blood.
Yeah.
And
he thinks it's wine.
He thinks it's wine because the bottle of wine's right there. And so he cleans up the blood, and he goes upstairs. And they're talking in the morning, and he's like, "So a glass of wine, huh?" And she's like, "Yeah."
Oh, no, he's like, "Do you think you should be taking wine with your medicine?"
And
like,
she just kind
"I'm not taking medicine."
Yeah.
"Well, I think you should take medicine. You need to take your medicine."
He talks like a robot.
Well, he's just like, "You gotta take your medicine." And he complains some more to the foreman. Everyone else is also weirded out because, like, "Hey, he didn't show up to work. What's the deal? What happened?"
Well, he's like, "These guys got to go. Like, you got to fire them."
He sees two of them just goofing off or whatever.
Well, because they keep just hanging out
Yeah.
places. And he's like, you gotta fire these people. They're not doing any work.
Yeah.
Like, it's not getting done. So the foreman does fire them, and they get pissed. And they're at the bar again. And they're like, "No,
we need to get our tools."
And so...
Because they're like, "Listen, we break in there and steal the tools, we can start our own business."
Yeah. So they're getting drunk, playing pool. And then they go to the house, and they break a window. And they start sneaking in and stealing all their tools back.
One of them, he walks down the stairs because he like steals a bunch of tools upstairs. I think he's like a basement. We gotta go to the basement. The guy's like, he was like, "No, let's go." And he's like, "No, I gotta get the saw.
Yep.
And he goes down the basement.
It's like there's
and
a
as he's walking down,
brand new sander down there.
as he's walking down there, he scratches the wall.
And you see the carpenter get a scratch on his arm.
He starts bleeding on his arm. And that's when you know.
Oh, we forgot the sheriff, because that gives context to... We forgot to mention the sheriff.
Yeah, we'll explain it after this, I guess. But
Yeah.
So he scratches the wall of the house. The carpenter starts bleeding, and that's when you're like, oh, it's like they're connected, the house and the carpenter.
Right.
And the guy walks into the basement and immediately gets a fucking saw to the face.
I think it's a sander, like
Or
a
sander,
belt sander. Yeah. And he just fucking stands there while the fucking thing just drills into him.
And then the other guy like hears it and screams for him and goes over there and gets stapled in the eyes. And then as he's there like screaming or whatever, he gets a drill.
I can't remember what he says to him. He's like...
He says something, and he drills into his throat, and then he just sits...
He just sits there drilling holes into this guy.
And the freaking woman comes down, because she hears the noise.
And she doesn't react at all. She's like, what are you doing?
They just have a normal... friendly conversation.
He just speaks in like fucking man speech, you know, where he's just like, hard work pays off, and people are lazy, and
people are soft. Look at this guy.
Look, it's soft,
and he drills a hole into him. Look, soft.
And she's like, okay, cool, good talking to you.
Good talking.
And then goes back upstairs and goes to sleep. Now, what we forgot to mention is there's the sheriff, the weird ass sheriff,
he's sweaty man,
super sweaty. He's very sweaty. He's a very sweaty man.
And he's like, I want to welcome you to our community.
So he comes in and has tea, but he explains that there used to be a guy there that was working on the house, and the reason
he built the house.
The reason it's unfinished is because he was building it himself and refused to get any help, and then killed a bunch of people.
He started taking loans out to build the house, and when he couldn't pay them off, he started killing the people he owed money to.
Yep, he was a serial killer, and then he died.
They said they gave him the electric chair.
Yeah, so they caught him and electrocuted him, and
it's our guy.
And he's basically haunting the house.
Yeah, it's our guy. And there's also another scene.
So you got
my favorite scene.
A very unwell woman and a fucking sadistic carpenter ghost. What could possibly go wrong?
Who is down bad. But we get my favorite scene, which is it's nighttime.
Oh, and when he's doing the soft thing and drilling into the guy, he asks the woman if she wants to go into the woods.
The
with
woods.
him.
It's really beautiful.
He wants to go on a walk, so he's putting on the moves.
And there's a scene where she goes into the woods and he's out there working, and she sits on like a bench or something, and they keep talking. And this is probably my favorite scene because it's like, you know, it'll be a shot of her and a shot of him. And again, he's talking in uplifting working man slogans. And every time it cuts to him, he has a new...
This is like a sketch from like a Naked Gun movie.
Well, every time it cuts to him, he has a completely brand new thing he's working on.
It'll cut to her, cut to him, he's ripping drywall. Cut to her, cut to him, he's planing a door.
Yeah.
Cut to her, cut to him, he's doing something with a piece of wood.
He has he has a giant metal press in one scene.
But he has different tools every time and different materials every time.
In one shot he's building a birdhouse. It's just every time it cuts to him, it's a brand new thing, and it just kept going, and I was like, that's great.
Well, I also love what this movie does, and I do like this a lot, genuinely. It makes you kind of wonder if this guy is real, if he's the ghost of this guy, or if she's just having another mental breakdown.
Because she's not taking her medicine.
Yeah, because she's not taking her medicine. She's very mentally unwell, and so you wonder if she's having another breakdown, or if this guy actually is a ghost killing people in the house. They do a very good job of misdirecting you, and not really with weird scenes like this, because it's anyone else would react be what the fuck is happening?
But she's just enjoying
she's fine. She's enamored by him.
And her, they're getting on.
Yeah.
We get speaking of weird scenes, there is the paint store
Yes.
where it's just her walking into a paint store, and we get this like, this like dolly shot coming up to the clerk, and it's just like this slow shot, and there's a woman painting his desk and him playing pretend drums.
He's drumming on it like a drumline drummer.
Yeah, and then it's
the
just
counter.
like the camera gets closer and closer, and then finally gets up to him, and he's like, how can I help you? And then they're in his office, and she wants a job because there's a help wanted sign on the paint store.
And he says, like, you want to know about chemistry, right?
Painting is chemistry.
Painting is chemistry, and so you need to know a lot about chemistry if you're going to work here.
And she says, well, yeah, I'm also painting a house. Like, I'm painting my own house. And every scene in this, he has a tube of Pepto-Bismol on his desk.
That's it's very weird, but they do the thing where he asks her a question, and she just like literally like just spills her entire life story to him.
Because he out of nowhere asks like, well, you have any like issues, like mental issues? And she's like, well, no, I did go to the hospital for like 2 weeks because I had a severe mental breakdown, but I'm good now. And he's like,
okay, you're
good.
Yep.
Or it's just like that thing of like, it rides that line of like, it's funny, but it's not overtly. It's not like a comedy movie.
Right.
But there is humor.
But she just rattles it off like it's nothing.
And, but the thing is that, and then there's also a scene later on where she's working there and her sister visits her. Mm-hmm. And she's like, wow, like you're working. I'm so proud of you. And her boss is like, yeah, she's doing great. But they have this paint mixing machine that they keep showing.
It looks wild on film.
It's just like it's like this thing that they put the cans of the cans of paint in, and it shakes them.
It's a paint mixer. I mean, you can see one like in any like home improvement store, but
on camera it just looks wild. And there's a scene
because there's no like cover to it. Yeah. It literally is just like mixing the paint right in front.
But there's a scene later where there's a little bit of a thing with it, and so that's all going great. Then the husband, he is doing his affair with that student.
And the student's like, hey,
we got to talk.
And he's like,
oh, not too serious, I hope. And she's like, well,
because remember, she calls him when he's at home because she really needs to talk to him.
And it's like this, he answers when his wife's in the kitchen, and he's like kind of being like,
oh, mm-hmm, yeah. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then it's like this long panning shot of like the wife and what she's doing. And then as soon as she leaves the kitchen, he's like, listen, I thought I told you not to call me. Like, I have a wife, don't you know? And he's like, okay, fine, I'll be there. And, he goes there, and it's like, you think they're going to have sex? And she's like, listen, we got to talk.
Yep.
He's like, oh, well, I hope it's not too serious. She's like, well, yes.
Yes, it is. I'm pregnant. Just comes right out with it. And
then the wife's sister visits her at home, and they have a great time. They have like dinner together, and you get the clear impression that her sister does not like her husband.
Which is justified because he's a fucking piece of shit.
Well, it's like there's a scene where they're at dinner, and they're talking. It's like her and the sister, and they're having a great time. It just keeps cutting to the husband looking miserable. Probably because he just got told that his side chick is pregnant.
Well, and every time he tries to interject, they ignore him completely because they're talking about painting the room a certain color. And she says, like, oh, beige is a great color and stuff like that. And he's like, I think blue. And they literally don't even acknowledge he said anything and continue their conversation. And so
it keeps going like that.
So this is also when the sister, like the woman reveals to her sister that she's been seeing someone because the sister is like, hey, I think he's having an affair.
And she's like, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
He's like, that doesn't surprise me, but I've been seeing someone as well.
And she tells about him.
Like, he's a carpenter, and he helps with the house. He comes over at night, and he helps me with stuff. And she's like, well, that's great, but like, you need to do something about David or whatever his name is.
And then there's a scene where it's late at night, and she is painting. And David or whatever his name is like, hey, it's 4 a.m. Come to bed. And she's like, I'm not tired.
He's like, okay, can I get you a glass of milk?
And so he goes to get her a glass of milk. He gets a glass of water, takes his medicine, and then he has an idea.
He calls them tranquilizers, but that's like insane.
So he puts her medicine that she hasn't been taking in her milk.
Excuse me.
Gives it to her, and she takes a drink, and then it's like nighttime, and there's like music playing. So she wakes up, goes downstairs, and our Carpenter is all dressed up, all snazzy.
He's like in a white suit. Has a Victrola playing, and she's like, I love this music.
And he's like, I would love to like dance with you and have some wine. And they start dancing, and he's just like, I want it to be us. You need, like, look at how he treats you. Like, you need better. You should want better things. And like, I want it to just be us, and we can just us and the house and the woods, and we can just shut out the outside world. And they keep dancing and dancing, and then I don't even remember what the hell prompts it.
She like backs away from him for a second, and he's like, and you can have this, and like unzips his pants.
He starts unzipping his pants,
and you just hear a drill sound,
and it cuts to her screaming as a drill sound goes off.
And then for no reason,
she wakes up.
Other than he's a dick, she wakes up and starts trying to wake up her husband.
I assumed...
And then beats, like... she, like, pounds on him.
As he won't wake up. And I assumed that the reason she woke up pissed off is because she realized that he made her take the fucking tranquilizers or whatever the hell it is.
Probably, yeah.
That's my assumption. That's why she's so raging pissed. Because he ruined it. And she had a dick dream. A fucking... drill dick.
The drill dick dream. Like fucking Slumber Party Massacre 2?
The first Slumber Party Massacre had the drill dick.
Oh, the drill dick.
2 has the guitar.
Oh, 2 has the guitar, you're right. So the first one has the drill dick.
The first one he has a giant drill.
Yep.
And when they cut off the drill bit, he becomes a bitch.
He's like the Carpenter.
He has no dick now.
He's a drill dick. These two men have an ailment of a drill dick.
Oh, all right. Carpenter's got an ailment, all right.
Oh, yeah. He is fucking crazy. Anyway, so...
It's that morning.
He's like shaving, and he's like...
The sister's there.
He talks to the sister, and he's like, I think
you don't like me.
I have an inclination that you don't like me. And she's like, I don't.
You have no respect for my sister.
You treat her like shit. And I'm like, based. Wow. Okay.
And it's like, yeah, I mean, he does.
He does. He treats you like shit. She's right. And, she...
Well, she leaves, and the husband leaves too. And it's the side chick shows up.
Well, right, because she goes to get... The main woman goes to get groceries and comes back.
The main woman is at work.
Right, yeah.
And it's that scene of the paint mixer, and she's just staring at it.
And it just like starts to spray like red fucking paint all over her.
It sprays red paint all over her, and she walks home with groceries looking like a murder scene.
And so...
And the freaking side chick
is on the steps, and she's like, I need to talk to you. You're David's wife, right?
And they go in the house, and you just know.
Well, the way she brings it up is the weirdest thing, because she's like basically saying that I think Dave, like the husband, has given her the impression that he's gonna leave her.
Yeah,
because she's so confident when she says that, like, oh well, the problem is I'm having David's baby.
You should know that I'm having David's baby, and the woman's like, yeah, I figured.
I know. You think I'm stupid? You all think I'm stupid.
He's like, yeah,
you all think I'm just fucking crazy. And
it just, them yelling, and
it
eventually
starts escalating, because like
get out of my house.
Yeah, and the woman's like, you're fucking crazy. You're fucking like, you're a loony. No wonder David doesn't love you. Yeah. All this shit.
And as she's like leaving, our main woman grabs a nail gun, and the Carpenter's just there, and he helps her aim it
and fires it, and
she fires like 3 nails at the side chick and kills her.
I like to use a hammer, but the the nail gun doesn't mess up
because the nail
rats.
gun messes up the rats. Haha. That's a line from earlier in the movie. It's like a poetry rhymes.
Because when he's first introduced, he shoots a rat. So
Yeah, you see
with a nail gun.
You just see a little mouse on a thing. Nothing happens.
Yeah,
but he shot it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they couldn't show him actually
I
shooting
know,
a mouse.
but they could have used a fake.
Yeah, they don't, but it doesn't matter. So she's dead.
He repeats his line.
So then the husband shows up.
And there's a blood trail.
You see a fucking blood trail and a bloody nail, and it's going into the house. And so he walks into the house, and he sees the mistress on the fucking couch. So they killed a pregnant woman.
And his wife is sitting there, and he's like, "What did you?
What did you do?" It's like, are you fucking stupid? Like, what do you think she did?
You're crazy.
You're crazy.
You're completely psycho." And they say a bunch of shit, and one of the things she says is like, "Oh well, it's a little hard to fuck her now, isn't it?"
At no point in this entire fucking scene does anyone even mention calling the cops.
No,
not at all. It's not even a thought.
No, well, the only person who would is the husband, and he's too busy being shocked.
I do love the line, "It's hard to fuck her now, isn't it?"
Yeah. And it escalates. He smacks her. Carpenter walks in and is like, "That's a lady. I'll show you, you big brains, you big brain motherfucker."
He lays him down on the ground and quickly puts screwdrivers into his hands.
And he does the Jesus pose.
And then he puts a fucking clamp on the guy's head and starts twisting it while saying, "Men never respect their wives. I think you should respect a woman. A woman needs respect." And starts twisting it more and more.
As you hear the bone crunching noise.
And then he crushes his skull. And the woman just saunters upstairs and goes into bed.
No, she takes a shower.
Oh, that's right. She takes a shower and then gets into bed and
then she just
drying
sits,
her hair.
She sits in bed having an existential moment.
And the sister shows up and obviously is
sees the bodies,
is all freaked out. So she goes upstairs and she's like, "Okay, we gotta get out of here. We need to leave." Even the woman says "Oh, I'm in big trouble, aren't I?" or something like that.
Yeah, and Carpenter shows up and he's like, "Oh, you can't she can't leave. We got a plan."
He's like, "You can leave, she can't.
We got a plan."
He's
We're
like,
together.
He's like, and she's like, "Fuck you," and he's like, "I don't think swear words are very becoming of a woman," or something like that.
And he ends up smacking the sister, and the main lady has a moment of clarity. She's like, "Wow, you're just like all the other ones.
You're an asshole." And you're like, "Don't say that." She
calls him a pig, and he has a fucking
meltdown.
Oh, he has a fucking. He starts crying, and he's a full meltdown. But he realizes, he can't let her leave.
Yeah,
because he had a plan.
Right, they had a plan. They were going to be together.
Going to be together forever in the house.
Yeah,
and
so she starts running down the stairs while beating the walls
with a hammer
because she knows it'll hurt him,
and it hurts him a little. And he takes the hammer away, and she goes to the basement. And he's just like,
"Oh no!" He grabs. I love when he grabs the hammer and he's like, "This is not a toy.
This is a tool, not a toy.
This is a toy. This is a tool, not a toy." And so she runs down the stairs, and he's trying to talk sense into her, say that we had a plan. I'm sorry I had to do that, but she was gonna ruin everything. She ruined everything, and we had a plan, all this stuff.
We were in love.
And so
I love you.
She takes a plank of wood and beats and the sister comes down and she's like, "Fuck you," and
she's about to hit him, and she's like, "No, hit the walls." And she starts.
So they start just pounding on the walls.
Start destroying the walls.
And he's like, and
she takes a blowtorch.
And he's like, "No, don't, please don't."
She lights the house on fire.
And he lights on fire.
And then she's leaving the house with her sister as our poor stuntman runs out of the house, doused in flames, being like, "No, I love you."
He's like, "I love you. We had a plan." And
he's crawling, screaming, "I love you." And she just looks at him and says, "You should have been more of a gentleman." And then he just dies.
And then movie ends. Movie ends right there, just fucking as he's burning to death.
Oh my god.
Yeah. This movie is fucking wild. It's a ride. It's definitely a ride. And all your expectations of it are just thrown out the window. Because you don't know where it's going. You have no idea, like, where it's heading. Like, it's just all over the place. And to its credit, that's like, it's a good thing that it does that.
It does work in its credit.
It works really well as, like, this weird, just fucking crazy, surreal movie. It is like a David Lynch light movie.
It's a fun movie. Our horny little Carpenter ghost man that is one with the house.
Listen, sometimes you get real down bad.
In the afterlife.
It's lonely.
It's lonely being a ghost.
It is lonely being a ghost. So sometimes you just gotta risk it for the biscuit.
And that scene with him just working on random stuff with every cut.
That was my favorite scene. I think that is the highlight scene for me.
And second place is the scene where he's just randomly drilling holes into the dead guy
and saying he's soft.
He's like, "Look how soft. Look at this. Bzz. Look." She's like, "Wow, that's lovely. Good night."
It's such a weird movie. I liked it. Like, don't get me wrong.
And it's like, again, for 90% of this movie, there's nothing like threatening or scary about this guy.
Well, I mean, if you think about it,
because everyone he kills is a scumbag.
Only like 5 people die.
Yeah,
but everyone that dies is a piece of shit.
Especially before the ending, everyone he kills is a scumbag.
And one of them was going to sexually assault her. And one of them is a womanizing, fucking cheating husband. One of them is the fucking mistress that does not give a shit about her at all and doesn't care that she's a mistress. Two are just thieves. Guys are like stealing tools and being pieces of shit too. So you don't care about any of the deaths.
So when, the woman's like, "Oh, this is great. I go off, King."
I think normally that would piss me off with the no reaction to the deaths. But I think was the point of the...
Well, because she's the only person who...
and she's like... Yeah. She just recovered from like a mental breakdown. So she, I'm sure, is like not... She's like apathetic. She's like doesn't really care about this stuff, or thinks it's a hallucination.
He's like a guardian angel.
So like normally like the no reaction thing would like piss me off, but like I think to its credit it does that well.
Yeah,
it does a good. I think it. Sorry, I'm trying to explain. I can't speak apparently. I think it does a good job of kind of like making you think one thing and it's totally another thing.
Because our only person who sees the deaths until the ending
is her. Because the ghost like cleans it up.
No one else knows.
No one else knows. I don't really get the paint spraying all over her thing. Maybe she was supposed to look like a murder victim.
Well, that obviously happened. But I mean, she even comes back saying like, "Oh, I'm fired. I lost my job." So I don't know if it was like she forgot to take... I'm guessing she forgot to turn it off? Or
maybe just like was staring at it too long.
Because she stares at it for like a whole minute.
Yeah.
And it just starts exploding. So I'm assuming she was so zonked out.
She didn't learn about chemistry.
She didn't learn the value of a rhythm from our Carpenter. Well,
exactly.
You got to keep a rhythm when you're working.
Yeah, exactly. You got to. I don't know. There's a lot to like about this film. I think it is weird. It is very different, which I like.
It works to its credit.
I can understand why people maybe wouldn't like it. I mean, it is very
different.
It's very...
It's not what you'd expect.
Like, independently made. You can tell it wasn't like a huge budget and stuff like that. But it was well done. I think the effects were well done. I think the acting was pretty good. I like Wings in this a lot. He plays a really good, like, sadistic killer that kind of has like almost like a heart of gold in a way at the beginning.
He just wants to work.
He's just like this innocent carpenter guy that just happens to kill people with tools.
Talks in slogans.
Yeah.
You love to see it.
And again, that Naked Gun-esque scene is fucking hilarious.
That's the kind of stuff that really, really, brings a movie up because that's clever. Like, that's clever.
No, I liked how they did that, and they
could have just had them talking.
Well, in any part of the scene, they could have had like the big reactions. They could have made it into like this slasher movie. They could have went a million different directions. But I like what they did with it, and I like how they just kind of like it's this winding path of a movie where you have no idea where the fuck it's going, and then it gets to the end, and you're just like, oh fuck, okay. These fucking nail gunned a fucking pregnant woman, killed the husband, and then lit the fucking house on fire.
And the house, which is the same as our guy.
He is the house, and the house is him.
I know. I mean, I know I've seen another movie that had a similar thing, but that movie did not have an evil Carpenter.
Nope, it did not. And played by Wings.
Yes.
Sorry, nothing will beat that.
Yeah, this is. There can only be one.
Wings
Carpenter.
Yep. So shitty to pretty is our rating system. 1 through 10. 1 being the shittiest, almost like completely unwatchable.
Just complete crap.
10 being just
Highly
entertaining as hell.
I'll give it an 8.
I think an 8 is good. I don't think it's. I think
just before we watched this, it's a lot higher than I thought I would give this.
I thought it was going to be kind of middle of the road, to be honest. I didn't think it was going to be like god awful.
This is pretty low rated.
It is like a 4.9 on IMDb.
Below 5.
It's not very high rated at all. But
we are weirdos. We are absolute degenerates.
I thought it was going to be mid, and honestly, it did way better than I thought.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Weird touches paid off.
It really did. I love that surreal shit. Like I love Twin Peaks and shit like that. So like when you're like kind of David Lynch-esque,
when it's willing to play around with your perception and that kind of stuff. And just have that extra creativity, it helps because
I also honestly like you said, we're just degenerates. I like weird shit.
Yeah, like I originality.
Yeah,
it's different. It's original. It's not the same thing. Yeah, I could have just made a movie about a haunted house and a ghost killer,
or you could have just made a Carpenter slasher movie,
or he's actually real and he's just a murderous Carpenter, or whatever.
Yeah,
and those would be fun. But this is different. It's a different take. It's different. There's different ideas and how it's filmed and how it's made. And it's like, even if it doesn't always work, I will always appreciate this over just stock.
Or like copy paste shit.
Yeah.
Just like fucking just run of the mill. Just like, here you go.
Because everyone's seen, I'm sure there's countless movies about murderous, like, home improvement guys or whatever, and it's like, okay, yeah, cool, we've seen it. It's fun. It can be fun.
Yeah.
But little more effort.
Sometimes you just want a little bit different. You just want something a little bit against the grain.
Especially for something like this.
Yeah. And I think this does it well, and the Canadians pulled it off. What can I say?
Yeah, good job.
I cannot believe this is the same writer as fucking one of the Kingdom Come, fucking In the Name of the King.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, so the writer of this movie is one of the writers for In the Name of the King.
One of many brains.
There was like 4 writers of that movie. So.
It's impressive because if you look up, we've
reviewed it. So if you want to check that out.
That movie had like 4 writers.
I think that's not the one where I fell asleep.
No, that was 2.
That was number 2, yeah.
Which was, it's kind of funny because there's 3 of them. And, you watch the first In the Name of the King and it's like, wow, this is horrible. And then you watch the second one and you're like, wow, this is even more horrible. And then you watch the third one and you're like, wow, this is even more horrible.
Well, you know what? Uwe Boll just loves to do that. He makes a shit movie, and then the sequels are even shittier.
And you're just like, it can't get worse. And then
it does.
Like,
and it turns into a fucking dumpster fire. And you're just like, wow. This is a flaming pile of shit.
And now he's back.
He is back. We're not doing it.
No.
We're not doing it. Just so you know, we're not doing it.
We're not doing another marathon.
We're not doing another marathon.
That it was a one-time thing. We wanted to torture ourselves.
So we wouldn't have to do it again. Although those episodes are very funny, and I recommend you go listen to them.
Yeah,
They're fucking hilarious.
The venom is real.
Yeah. Our review of Suddenly, I felt like we were gonna I thought I was gonna die.
Oh yeah, Suddenly is my favorite remake.
True cinema.
Uwe Boll really.
He's an auteur.
Yeah, let me tell you, especially when he thinks he's being smart.
Oh God, it's so fucking stupid. Anyway, we're not gonna talk about Uwe Boll here. That was the Carpenter.
The Carpenter.
It apparently is pretty hard to find. You said?
Yeah.
Is there anywhere to watch it?
There is a really bad copy on YouTube.
All right. Well, if you want to go watch it, there
otherwise, I know this was released on Blu-ray by somebody, Code Red or something.
You might be able to rent it somewhere. Let me see.
I didn't even see that option, bro. This is
nothing.
This is the Holy Grail. It's the law. It's the Ark of the Covenant.
It's hard to find fucking...
It's the Stones of Shankar.
And don't get it fucking confused with the other Carpenter, the fucking Bible movie or whatever the fuck it is.
Oh, that's a thing?
There's another one called The Carpenter, but it's from like 2014. It's about Jesus? Yeah, it's about Jesus the Carpenter.
No, this is not.
This is not that.
In case you didn't
This is not
notice.
about Jesus, just so you know.
They just share not.
I know, crazy, but... apparently you can rent this on Amazon Prime.
I don't know if it's
for $3. I don't know if it's a good quality or not. We didn't check that out, so
it has. I will say this: it has to be better than the one on YouTube.
Probably, I would guarantee it,
because that one is a straight up bootleg ass VHS rip.
Yeah, so go rent it. That's what I would say. Yeah, check it out, especially if you like Wings Hauser,
and learn the value of DIY.
Learn the true value of DIY and working on your own house, home improvements on your own house,
all alone.
Yeah, all alone.
All DIY, you know.
Oh yeah,
mm-hmm. Break a sweat.
Not tough guys know how to get it done. And if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself.
You got to do it yourself,
Okay? And
a job's not done.
And these guys are just lazy and soft.
Don't be
soft. So you got to do it yourself. Don't be soft.
Don't be so soft that you can drill a hole.
God damn it. All right, I think we're done. For They Mostly Come Out at Night, this has been Will.
This has been Alex.
And we'll talk to you all later.
Oh, God, bye.
Remember, tough guys finish first, okay?
Yeah. His job's...
Guys, you gotta stay strong and do your job.
His job's not done until it's done.
It's a dirty job, but someone's gotta do it, okay?